Hey everyone, this is DWS Darius and welcome to another day in the fish room. I do once a week water changes on this 880 gallon aquarium and you guys wanted to see how. So with every water change, I have to go ahead and turn off my sump. My sump filters the water in this aquarium and my 880. So while my sump is off, both of these tanks are on standstill. I run a little circulation pump in this aquarium while it's waiting. And we have over here the sump. So someone asked me, why does my sump not overflow when I turn off the power? And that's because just like with every sump, when you run your water, you have to make a line so that you remember how high your water should be running. So that when you turn your pump off, you have enough space for the water that's going to drain in the aquarium to fill up the sump. So the water is going to drain down to the level of my overflow, and this tank is about that much. And this aquarium, the overflow is right over here. It's hard to see, but this is the overflow level, which is about 2 inches from the surface, and that equals that much water. So as long as the sump is running, I think this is the right line. As long as I have no more than this much water in here, I'm not going to have any overflowing. While we're looking at the sump, if you're seeing this for the first time, I have a light here because I was growing aquaponics in this sump. I had a huge tomato plant. However, I just threw it away this morning because it was dried up. Somehow this thing got pinned against the wall and the roots were exposed to dry air and the plant was completely ruined. So I got to restart and I'm going with the sweet potato method. You know, sweet potatoes in aquariums can be highly beneficial because they love the nutrients and all that good stuff inside the water, and they grow like crazy and they take out nitrates and things like that that we don't want in our aquarium. So definitely highly beneficial. And yeah, like I said, I was working on this today, and the reason for that is because this is actually my second time doing water changes for today. I did one this morning on this aquarium, and now I'm back like at 3 o'clock to do a water change on this tank. And that's something I didn't consider when I was putting all these monster tanks in my basement. I just don't have enough hot water to go around. So because of that, I have to break my water changes up. I do my smaller tanks on Saturday night. Sunday morning I do my 350. Sunday afternoon I do the 880. And then on Tuesdays I do my 210. Definitely didn't consider that I only have about 150 gallons of hot water. So I only could do a certain amount of water changes at a time during the winter. Anyways, the next process is to go ahead and start draining water from this tank. I was not ready to make this video of water changes on this aquarium. You guys know, you was asking me over and over week after week and I was ignoring you guys, and that's simply because with this tank I still don't have a routine when it comes to doing water changes. With all my other aquariums I have a routine to get it done perfectly. With this tank I still am learning because I've never had a tank of this size. For example, when it comes to draining this aquarium, I'm still trying to figure out the best method during winter. During summer, it's super easy. I stick a pump in there and I pump water outside, and it takes 15 minutes to go about halfway. I can't do that now because the temperatures are colder, that water stays around, and if it stays to overnight, it could freeze up and cause some problems, and I definitely don't want that. So right now I'm using this method. This is draining water directly down into my basement drain. And it is pretty slow. It could take me about an hour just to go halfway on this aquarium. So it definitely is a very slow process. You know, the way this siphon works, the lower the water goes, the slower it gets. The only positive about this siphon is that I'm actually able to go and siphon the bottom and get up some of that big poop down there. That's the only advantage. When you pump out water, you can't do any siphoning. However, with this method, if you catch it while it's still strong, so while the water is still high, if I go and siphon, which I'm going to do, you still have a good strong pull and you're able to get some of that big fish poop. And I think that's actually one of the things a lot of monster fish keepers don't talk about, the poop that you get from these guys. Now luckily for me, I got a lot of flow and the sump does catch a lot of it, but some of it still remains. And I'm not sure how well you can see it. This lens doesn't have a zoom, but any red, brown, or like burgundy pieces, that is not gravel. That is poop. Let me try to get a different angle. Okay, so if you look between these branches, that red right there in the center, that little piece of red right there, red right there, red right here. You can see a little bit of red everywhere. That's because I feed these fish red fish food, so they have red poop. And remember, this tank is 4 feet deep. When you pull that stuff up, that thing is like 2 to 3 inches, and we're talking about fish poop. Like if you see these riffles, looking inside the water, trying to look at the bottom of this tank with those riffles could definitely play on your eyes. They kind of give you a little bit of eye strain, but not too bad of an experience. I like this upper view. Like you can see stuff that you normally wouldn't see, like this fish in this wood. This is my Polypterus elacheri. Look at that, perfect camouflage. This above view is definitely very awesome. I also like the look of this Anubias right here. From above, it's just like a pond, and I definitely don't mind spending the extra time digging through all this stuff, searching for poop. Now, as I told you guys, this way of draining the tank does take some time. One of the things I like to do while I'm waiting is just check out these plants. I like to look at their roots, because when the water is low, you get a good idea of how their roots are looking, and you know the plant that has the most roots is being the most beneficial for the aquarium, is consuming the most waste produced by the fish. And out of all these plants, the one that is producing the best roots, of course, is the pothos. Pothos is known for being a great plant for aquariums. And look at these roots. We're talking about roots that are almost 2 feet long. It definitely looks very awesome in this aquarium, although most of the time this plant right here is being sucked down the overflow. But I do like the look of the roots coming down. Of course, you won't be able to notice it that well, but definitely brings a more natural feel to this aquarium. So yeah, we have a few pieces of pothos, and the pothos all over this tank has the best roots out of all the plants. I even like how this one is tangled up within these dead roots from a tree, so that definitely looks very natural. Besides that, the next best plant when it comes to root growth is the lucky bamboo. Once again, another plant known for being in aquariums. We have this one right here with some decent roots. We have another one over here with roots that might be close to 2 feet long. Look at that. And the white roots is new growth, so definitely nice to see that this thing is still growing. After that, the next dominant plant is going to be this right here. This is Wandering Jew. Wandering Jew Zebrina. There are like 3 types of Wandering Jew. This is Wandering Jew Zebrina, named after that zebra pattern. And definitely a very beautiful plant. Look at that. It grows like crazy. And the thing is, with these roots, it's a little bit more weird, because you have a lot of stems that don't have roots, and then some of them do. So all these plants will be connected to like one stem, and I have them in these beds so you can't see the roots, but this one you can see the roots are pretty decent. Other than that, everything else is growing at the same pace, a pretty slow, mild pace. We have this, what is this? This is evergreen, Chinese evergreen. It's a different variety than your common one, but this one is growing, but extremely slow. And if you look to the bottom, you might be able to see that one little root right there. There's another one over there. So it's coming along slowly. I just like the look of it. Definitely not your average plant. I like the pinks. I think that if it was in dirt and in full sun, well, it's not a full sun plant, but if it was in dirt with more nutrition, it would have been more red. but I'm not complaining. It definitely looks nice down here. We have a peace lily right here, and this one you can see some of the roots coming from the bottom. This root right here is coming from that. We have a jade plant. I just tried this. This one just went in here about a month ago. We have no roots coming from the bottom. However, if you look close up, this lens doesn't have zoom, as I said, but there's roots coming out of the actual plant. I'm not too familiar with this plant, so I'm not sure what that actually means, but it's been in this tank for a month and it's doing okay. Right here we have another type of wandering Jew. This is purple wandering Jew. This is doing awesome. And then we have those little smaller plants over there. We have some that were sticking out of the sides. Oh, look at this root right here. This is coming from the wandering Jew. But these plants were just random seeds that I planted. And yeah, just nice to observe these things while the water is draining. Another cool thing that is a little bit weird is, let me try to get close for you guys. So if you look under here, look at that. That is a fungus growing in the tank. Now, I probably brought it in with the wood. Even though I did do my best to clean the wood, I brought it in with the wood. Every now and then it shoots up a couple of mushrooms, but I've had it for a long time, since like the start of this aquarium. Of course, it wasn't that big. Right now it's about, I'd say, 8 inches in diameter, but I definitely don't mind, because like I said, it's not harming the fish, and it's actually benefiting the plants because it keeps moisture, and that pothos on top of it is loving it. But yeah, just something I look at while I'm waiting for water to drain. Now, as I told you guys, in these colder winter months, we don't have that much hot water to go around, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the water change here. We drained, the water level stays about here, so we drained about 10 inches. And inside of this 880 gallon aquarium, 10 inches is about, but it's between 100 and 150 gallons, so I believe that's not too bad. Of course, it's not as good as I like to go. In the summer months, I like to do 50%, but for now, it's the best I could do. And that is the end of the draining process. Another challenge was figuring out how to clean the glass on this 4-foot aquarium, and after some trial and error, I came up with this thing. This is supposed to be used to clean windows on cars. I doubt it's pretty good at that, but it is good at cleaning this aquarium. Maybe one that was a little bit longer would have been a little bit nice, but for me, my arms are pretty long enough to get to the bottom of the glass. And with this microfiber cloth, you can see it's covered with algae. It does a decent job cleaning the glass and making it nice and presentable. Now this tank does take some time to refill back up, so when it comes to using water conditioner, I like to do it in doses. So I use two main brands. I use Seacom Safe and I use API Stress Coat, the pond version. Both of these are highly concentrated, so that means for larger aquariums, it definitely saved me a lot of money compared to some of the other types of water conditioners that are meant for smaller aquariums. For example, the Safe 1/4 tablespoon treats 300 gallons. So that means 3 of these little things can treat 900 gallons of water in this aquarium. Definitely saves me a ton. The initial cost is pretty expensive. This larger container cost me $35, but it does last me a good while. So yeah, I use 3 of these. I start one little dosage when I first start filling up water, one halfway, and one more at the finale. Same thing with this stress coat. Now this one, I do have to use a little bit more. There is, I think it's 480 gallons per half of cup used. So that means a little bit less than a full cup to treat this tank. but the reason why I like using it is because it has a number of benefits. They use aloe vera in this, which is highly beneficial for your fish, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I use that API stress coat, and if I have a fish that has injuries, scrapes, scratches, bruised fins or anything, this stuff definitely will heal them. So I only use that when I see injuries, but for the most part this is what I use for water changes in 3 different doses. And this is something that I notice a lot when I'm doing water changes. The oxygen in the water causes these guys to yarn a lot. Another fun fact is that these peacock bass, they love their silverware. So we take this little 1/4 teaspoon little piece of measuring tool and just give it a little toss. Now look at this guy. He is gone. He is hypnotized. I can control him to do whatever I want. Now we're about 20 minutes in, and let me see if I could give you guys a look at the overflow. This is how you know how much water to put in the tank. When your overflow starts receiving water. Once water starts going down that overflow, you know it's at the same level when I started draining, and that's when you normally would stop. However, my overflow, my sump has a little bit less water than I normally would like. I like it to be filled to the brim. So I'm going to allow the tank to drain into here, to overflow into here, just until I get maybe another inch or so, and then I'll go ahead and turn the sump back on. Now someone asked me to make a video about this here sump. I started to make that video, however I got distracted and I couldn't finish the video, of course, because there was another pleco living inside this here pond, and this sump is becoming a pond. But yeah, there was a pleco in here about 3 inches, so that means he's been in here for a long time, a black pleco, and that definitely caught me off guard. I wanted to try to catch him, but I could never catch him in here because there's so much biomedia in there. And it's not too bad because there's algae in here because of these lights. So he might be having a good time in here. But yeah, there's plecos in there. There's a bunch of these snails. This is a pond snail. I just lost them. These right here. This is a pond snail. Someone told me that these are good, but the rate that these things reproduce is insane. I'm just going to crush this one because they reproduce way too fast. I have like thousands of them. I have those pond snails. I have Malaysian trumpet snails. And for some reason I thought it was like a good idea to add ghost shrimp to this setup. So now I have ghost shrimp inside my sump as well. Hopefully I could catch the ghost shrimp and use them as feeders. That's the only good thing about them. But yeah, when I pop my sump, there's a lot going on. I might as well call this a pond. But yeah, now it's time for me to refill the tank. You can see I filled up a nice bit and it's right at the brim. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug the pump back in. Okay, so we have that in there, and immediately you can hear the water rush back into the tanks. Water going back in there. Water going back in there. And the water is going to be exiting from here. So that happens once a week in this fish room to all my aquariums, but this one in particular to keep it nice and clean. Now, as I told you guys, this is my, look at the catfish fighting. We have a cat fight down there. But yeah, this is what I do during the winter, because during the winter, like I said, I don't have a lot of hot water. In the summer, I would do all these tanks in one day. Everybody getting 50 to 75% water changes, because in the summer I could do that, but in the winter it's a little bit different, it's a little bit more challenging. And this is how I'm surviving, this is how I'm keeping my fish alive, this is how I'm keeping my aquarium as healthy as I can. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope I answered some of your questions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.